Welcome to Blinkity Bloop. I'm Nick Padula.
And I'm Drew D'Amelia.
And this is a podcast where we talk about movies that came out recently. Now, Blinkity Bloop, the podcast, is not to be confused with Blinkity Bloop, the band. However, we are in both of them. We still would like you not to confuse the two.
Yeah, and if you can remember us primarily as Blinkity Bloop, the band, we'd be very happy about that. Leave some room to remember the podcast about movies, also good, but
right.
The band is how we could say that. We prefer you remember us for the band.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm way more nervous about what we're saying now in this intro after Mrs. Seelan actually got back to us. Oh yeah, Mrs. Seelan, our boss, I guess, finally got back to one of my emails that I send.
Yeah.
Because I send a lot of emails, and all she really said was we have to put in tags now to let you know how to skip ahead to the next movie if you don't want to hear us talk about one of the movies we do.
Oh.
I'm not sure why. I mean, my best guess is spoilers. I guess if people haven't seen the movie yet, they can jump over one and hear the next one. We've definitely never done spoiler alerts, and
no.
We probably should have.
If you think about it, we probably would have gotten more listeners if the initial folks listening to it wouldn't have been taken aback by us casually spoiling movies, because people don't like that nowadays.
I don't blame us, though, because we're a band first. We're not really movie reviewers.
Right.
I'm sorry to break the illusion, but yeah, whatever. It's like that. We can talk about all that stuff later.
Yeah.
But we have a hat with us. And in this hat, as usual, I guess, because this is now the usual thing, we have a lot of movies. Movies that we've seen recently, I guess, but mostly this year. I guess we could say all 2018 movies.
I'd say recently can encompass this whole year.
Yeah. Maybe we should make that more clear in our intro now. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that'll be the next email.
Maybe.
But we're going to make sure that we take turns this time, like good lads. And Nick, you look like a good lad over there. Do you want to pick from this hat?
I try to be a good lad. I shall reach into the hat. All right, shuffling it. Shuffling.
You're being a very good lad right now, the way you shuffle those papers.
I do my best for you, Papa.
What?
All right, so, first movie of the podcast. This is a first in a lot of ways. This broke ground on many levels. Cinematography, score, cast, script, on many levels.
What about the line producer?
What's a line producer?
I saw the credits once.
Okay. Yeah, I saw something that said VFX once in credits, and never mind. Okay. Anyway.
Broke ground, all those?
Yeah, all kinds of things.
Wow, cool.
Yep. Set It Up.
Hey, Set It Up. You saw this movie.
I didn't.
What?
I did not see Set It Up.
Well, Nick, clearly I'm gonna have to
set me up.
Wow, that was bad. Why did you do that?
You'd have to.
Well, I guess I can't blame you because I did set you up for that. This is a movie upon the Netflix.
Oh, that's always a key to success.
Have you heard of it?
No.
It's a romantic comedy.
Uh-oh.
And it has our good friend Zooey Douche.
Zooey Douche? Wait. Is this Zooey Deschanel or that girl?
No, I'd say Zooey Deschanel if I met her.
Okay.
This is the one with the last name I can't quite pronounce.
Douche, maybe.
Deutch.
Douche. Dutch. Dave?
Zooey Douche.
Douche.
Zooey Douche is the way I like to say that name, and I mean fair. No offense. I've seen her in a few movies now, and I've grown rather attached to her.
Okay, well, hopefully she doesn't listen to this and get offended by how you pronounce her last name.
She won't listen to this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, apparently she's the daughter of the actress.
Daughter of the actress?
Yes. Oh, I'll be specific. Have you seen Back to the Future? The mommy, the teenage version of the mommy.
Oh, right.
She's got a name.
I don't...
It's like Patricia Daniels or something that's dotted. But yeah, she has daughters that act, and this is one of them.
Okay.
Zooey Douche has a totally different last name, but that's fine.
It happens.
So yeah, Zooey Douche is in this, as well as another guy. that was in another movie. Everyone was in movies, I think, in this movie.
A lot of people who are in movies are in other movies.
Yeah, it's got a solid premise going, though. Basically, you have two real powerful executives, I guess we'll say, and they have two assistants that are just starting off their lives. They're like, 20-something, and they got a lot on their plates being assistants. It's a rough and wild world they're in. And it's fun to just see how the bosses are on top of the world, and then these characters that we follow the assistants mostly. They're the heroes of the story. Just kind of watching them squirm is funny. It's a little sad, but mostly funny. But these two, they hatch a scheme. Because one of the bosses is a powerful lady, and one of them is a powerful boy. As we know, boys and girls like to fuck each other silly. Among other gender combinations. Yep. But they have a plan and go, you know what? I bet if we got our bosses to hook up, then we would have more free time because the bosses wouldn't be working as much. They'd be distracted with their genitals.
Oh, well, that's a good way to distract someone.
And the assistants are in a very good position to make this happen because they know a lot of intimate details via osmosis of being assistants of their bosses. So even though the bosses don't actually have any chemistry together, they can forge chemistry by setting shit up.
Wow.
And it just works really well as a romantic comedy premise, and also the two assistants, you'll never guess it, but we got a boy and a girl, and they like to fuck each other as boys and girls do, as well as other gender combinations.
Were they romantically involved at the start, or did they gradually fall in love while hatching?
It's a classic rom-com. First, they don't hate each other actually at first, which is good. They were just sort of accomplices, but gradually. Yeah.
Best way to do it.
We got more than one relationship blossoming. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, man.
But it was actually really well done. Zooey Douche has a lot of charisma. I really like her. And the guy assistant, too. They were both just very energetic. The movie had a lot of spunk, I guess you could say. I shouldn't say spunk, because that makes it seem like it was edgy. It was just bright and genuinely funny. There were jokes that were made.
Ooh, jokes.
And then I would laugh a little bit at them, which is a good sign.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, something has to be extremely funny for me to go, ah, ha, ha, ha. But
did you laugh like that?
No, I don't think anything was extremely funny, but there are a lot of moments of me going, huh, which is very good.
That is very good.
It's a glowing recommendation.
Praise.
If you're next to me and I'm like, it's like, wow, this is the best comedy of the year!
It's like for a normal person, that's a hearty guffaw.
Exactly. But it was solid. The way the boss's relationship wound up playing out at the end was maybe not my favorite way that it could have happened, but it was fine, and you mostly cared about what went on with the assistants. And I really think that what made the movie stand out was a solid premise, which I don't know if it's been done before, but it just felt right. Like, wow, this is just a really simple but effective idea. And you had really good performers giving us some really fun characters that we could follow. So, yeah, I would recommend it.
I mean, I feel like from a title like that, I got the impression it would be boring, like set it up, and it's like how to build a log cabin. Set it up. Like building IKEA furniture. Set it up.
I guess you could see it as that, but I had the background, it was a rom-com, and I didn't know what the plot was, but I see set it up, and I'm like, they're gonna set up a couple. So I kind of saw it as a matchmaker kind of thing. Right.
That makes sense.
You could see it as a mattress maker kind of thing if you want. How to set up a box spring. Like,
oh, I thought you meant set it up as in set it up to have sex on.
Oh, shit! Oh, my God! That's weird that I was trying to come up with an example of a boring way to interpret it, but you just brought it right back to the rom-com, baby.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. Huh. There's definitely a lot of graphic fuck scenes in this movie.
There is?
No.
It struck me as a PG-13 type deal.
They don't have ratings on Netflix, I don't think.
But if it were to have one outside of Netflix, I feel like it sounds PG-13-ish.
Netflix should have a rating system after this movie came out, though. They should rate it B for backs on mattresses.
Oh, I thought you were going to say B as in like an 85%.
No, it's a whole different rating system.
Okay.
They have that, too. They got stars.
Yeah.
And I would give this there would be stars, I suppose.
How many?
Somewhere between the minimum and maximum number of stars.
Oh, man. Well, that seems...
And possibly just the minimum and possibly the maximum.
That seems...
I'm trying to not commit to a rating at all.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
You know what I am going to commit to, though?
Picking a movie out of a hat?
How'd you know? That's crazy.
I'm psychic.
Yeah, you're clairvoyant there. This movie was actually so good that I kind of do want to start rating movies just so I can give this 5 whole stars. That movie, of course, is A Futile and Stupid Gesture.
Another Netflix film that I did not see.
But you knew it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's like a very small percentage of the battle.
Yep.
I actually genuinely did really like this movie.
Okay.
I'm going to give it 0 stars, though.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
Jeez,
I'm not
cool.
going to commit to giving it any stars.
Okay, good.
But this was a movie that followed a comedy magazine, National Lampoon.
Oh.
Which apparently National Lampoon... I only knew them as people that made movies. I wasn't actually really aware it was a magazine. And I knew that they made a couple good movies back then. And I know as of right now, if you look into the National Lampoon movie log, you got a lot of bad movies. I don't even know if it's still happening, actually. It might have died. It might just be gone.
It's
But
possible.
it definitely took a turn at some point, and this movie does not follow that aspect of history, of which there's a lot, and it's probably bad and embarrassing and funny in its own respect.
Yeah.
But instead, this really focuses on one specific guy, whose name is, of course, like Doug, I think, or something.
Is his name National Lampoon?
No.
Oh.
No. It started as the Harvard Lampoon, but then they wanted to expand it outside of Harvard.
Oh.
So they called the National Lampoon.
Okay.
And I guess it makes sense. It seems like a stuffy title now, but I
Yeah,
guess
but-
lampoon is a silly word.
Yeah, and you're
So-
lampooning something. You're making fun of it.
Yeah, that national being attached to it, though, really does drag it down.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
I
If it
just-
was just like the Lampoon, I'm like,
Lampoon.
National Lampoon.
Ooh.
Oh, jeez. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
It's like a clown in a business suit. Like, come on, just get naked.
Yeah. well, take the suit off and put a clown suit on. Maybe not naked.
That's a good compromise. Naked and then in a clown attire.
Okay.
But this was, I mean, I will admit that it was something I was into personally, definitely. Even though I had no prior knowledge of the history of this comedy magazine, I am really into comedy and entertainment. Not as much as music, but I definitely like those two things. So seeing a movie that followed that, it just pushed a lot of the right buttons for me. And I feel like it was well done, too. There was a lot of energy. The movie was having fun. It was made by filmmakers that were able to capture the sort of lampoon spirit, I guess you could say, of the people that made the original magazine. And I say that as someone that never read any of the magazine.
I think it lives up to it. I have no idea what it is.
And it had a really good pairing. I mean, the magazine was mostly made by 2 guys, and one of them was clearly the main character at a certain point. But you had Will Forte
Okay.
and Domhnall Gleeson.
Oh, wow.
I did not
Domhnall.
even know it was him until way later in the movie.
Did he have heavy makeup?
No, he just had black hair, and it was curly, and he
Oh.
had glasses on, and he had a very, very solid American accent.
Wow, then he's like completely disguised.
It was a totally different character, too, but as we know from the classic Peter Rabbit, he can definitely do comedy. And
sure.
he did comedy here, but in a totally different way, too. His character was very dry, but it's still a very funny character, too. I was especially impressed with him, because that boy's got some talent. He's got
does.
a real versatility to his performances.
He picked up a lot on his papa, Brendan.
Yeah. But Will Fraser was a natural, too.
Will Forte?
Shit. Wait, who's Will Fraser? Is that someone we know?
Will Fraser. I don't know.
Why did I say Frasier?
Because you're thinking about Kelsey Grammer?
Kelsey Grammer is also great in this.
Was he in this?
No. There are a lot of people in it. A lot of people. The only one I'll name is who's a boy from Community, the good boy that always eats his fruits. What's his name? Okay, I'll give an actual description. He's got like a forehead.
Oh, Joel McHale?
Yes.
The boy with the forehead.
Yeah, he always eats his fruits. He was playing Chevy Chase, which was a casting decision that's kind of funny if you understand that there's a little rivalry between the two actual actors in real life.
Yeah, and they're also both in Community, so that's an interesting...
Yeah, it worked, though. I mean, it wasn't a perfect impression or anything, but you could definitely see the Chevy in there. Is it Chevy or Chevy?
I say Chevy like SH.
Yeah.
Like Chevrolet.
Ooh, that's good.
Because Chevy is Chevrolet for short. I don't know if that was his full birth name.
I've absolutely lost interest in this line. Like, but yeah, it was funny and it was fascinating to see the history of the magazine. I didn't know anything about it, but it was a really big deal. It's an important part of entertainment history, I suppose, and the story was told in a fun way, and I guess toward the end, it became a little more character-driven, and I admit I was less interested in the character and more interested in what the character had created with National Lampoon.
Right.
So when it started to be about the character, I was more going along with it because, well, okay, I guess the movie's been nice to me, so I'll see this one through, but it's not what I really wanted.
Right.
But yeah, you see a good chunk of the history, I guess the glory years, and I want a sequel that shows
the downfall. It's like the Empire
Yes.
Strikes Back of the National Lampoon biopic trilogy.
You can make a Futile and Stupid Gesture universe.
The downfall.
I want to see the history of the rest of National Lampoon. I think it might be dead. I can look it up, but hold on.
More like National Lampooned, past tense.
Yeah, it looks like the last film they made came out in 2015. I'm sure there's a whole history here that we could get. Well, I don't think we should get into it. I want to see another movie made about it. But they started making like a lot of college movies. Like here, I'll list some of these.
Okay.
We got National Lampoon's Stoned Age. National Lampoon's Totally Baked, a potumentary.
Ooh, that hurts.
National Lampoon presents RoboDoc.
Ooh.
Transylmania.
Ooh, horror. They're delving into the scary movie genre.
Cheerleaders Must Die.
Wow, sounds very 70s exploitation film.
Frat Chance.
Ooh, ouch.
Ratco, the Dictator's Son.
That really jumped in like title naming. It's like pun, pun, pun. What the fuck is this? Pun, pun, pun.
There's also, the amazing movie Snatched that everyone loved with Amy Schumer.
I know of it.
Well, don't confuse it with National Lampoon's Snatched. So I'm just saying that joke was taken as early as 2011. We also have The Legend of Awesomest Maximus from the same year.
I wonder if that's a tribute to Stanley Kubrick's Spartacus.
Oh, I certainly hope so. And the very last movie they made was National Lampoon Drunk, Stoned, Brilliant, Dead.
Oh man, I wonder why they died.
And that was 2015. There is something kind of beautifully cyclical about it, though, because if you think about it, the National Lampoon magazine started as a college thing. That was basically just an excuse for people to have a bunch of wild parties and just make a magazine on the side. And now, in a weird way, it's almost reversed. Because now it's about throwing a bunch of parties, but it's really just making entertainment.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is very odd, but it feels almost as if it's completed its arc. Would this not make a kind of interesting story, seeing the other half of the National Lampoon history?
We should get Netflix on that.
I'd be down for it.
Yeah.
You want to pick from this cute little hat here? It's calling your name.
I suppose I can do that. Stop talking to me like that, hat.
It's not. It's not actually talking.
Oh, shit. I've got brain stuff, bad brain stuff going on in my head. Fuck, I don't know. Okay, so this movie scared the living daylights. Exactly, I know, right? I was sitting in the theater, everyone else freaking out right alongside me, and I was like, oh man, I can't believe there's any movie that could possibly be scarier than Game Over, Man.
It's crazy you saw that in theaters, because that was also on Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't see it.
What?
Yeah.
This is crazy, all these Netflix movies that you haven't seen.
And it's right at my fingertips, so I don't know what my excuse is.
Well, Game Over, Man, I think is a reference to a line that's apparently fondly remembered from the movie Aliens.
That's correct.
And I saw the movie Aliens at some point and was flabbergasted at the popularity of that line.
It was a casual throwaway line, and yet they made a movie.
And the context is things aren't going so well in Aliens at this point. And this character is pretty much saying, we're gonna die, this is it. But he chooses to phrase that as game over, man. And I could be slightly misremembering this.
That's about right.
But I thought, okay, that's a vaguely creative way to state that we're all going to die. Mm-hmm. But, boy, that really must have taken off if it's now the title of a fucking movie.
Apparently, yeah, and you see it pop up like references to it in other movies, too.
I imagine people are probably going to say, it's Die Hard with stoners. And I can't exactly say that they're wrong. Because, yeah, we got the workaholic guys. I don't really watch Workaholics. I guess the three of them are, I guess we can call them talented, strapping young boys that will make fine citizens of our strong nation.
Is that so?
Yeah, I assume that's how most people would describe them.
All right, yeah, definitely not like burnout losers.
I don't know. But they do a lot of goofs in this, and a lot of the humor is raunchy. You know, there's drug humor, there's penises. It's good to see some penis.
Oh yes, even it out.
We've had a real penis renaissance lately.
Penis renaissance.
It's been great.
The penis-sance.
Yes, precisely. But yeah, it means pretty much Die Hard or stoners.
Okay.
It's not the worst thing though, because I feel that it could have gone a lot worse. And yes, there are. I feel stoner movies can be very sloppy. Yeah. And I don't think that's the most unfair association, because I don't think you necessarily do your cleanest work when you're doing the naughty weed. But it was cleaned up at certain points. Like, you had some action beats where you're actually going, oh, that was violent and satisfying. Wow. And you had some moments where the heroes are triumphing and you go, yes, I'm rooting for them in this moment. And you had some jokes that played. I mean, I don't care about raunchy humor necessarily, so as long as it's funny and it's timed well, and occasionally it was, I'd say, I don't know, maybe for half the movie I was with it, and the other half, it's not like it missed so much that I was angry or anything, but it just didn't quite land. Maybe the action was a little contrived, or the jokes just weren't really working. They were silly, but not really funny enough or smart enough or anything like that. And he had some celebrity cameos that I didn't give a shit about.
Like who?
Like Forehead Boy was in
Forehead
this.
Boy,
yeah,
wow.
He made a cameo.
Love that guy.
I think he died. High heel went through his face.
Oh, wow, that's a pretty graphic death. Oh.
Yeah, and it had some good gore.
Cool.
And I'd say, I don't know, I went along with it because I feel it is a fun premise. I like the idea of schmucks being put in this horrible situation where there's a lot of bad guys trying to kill people.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, it sounds dumb as shit, like Die Hard with stoners, but I would probably prefer that premise to regular Die Hard, honestly, especially if they wind up winning out.
Did it ever get to a point where these, like, losers and burnouts, like, became, like, action heroes and did action hero things and stopped being their normal selves, or did they stay in their, like, sad roles?
That's the, I suppose, inherent problem of preferring the stoner version of Die Hard, is that in Die Hard you had a cop.
Yeah.
And he could do cop things. He wasn't the most amazing guy ever. Everyone praises the movie because he's an average cop, but he's a cop. these guys, I guess, are way more average if you think about it.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I mean, they don't do things on a cop level exactly, but they do have moments where they get involved. I mean, they really have to.
Yeah.
I guess they don't have to. You could have a very boring movie where they're just like, oh, don't hurt me, and everything just works out.
Yeah.
I almost wouldn't be upset about, because think about it, most schmucks would be totally unable to do anything. So just imagine that just completely dumb luck constantly causes them to survive.
That would be.
Like, imagine a hero just never having to do anything. Everything just really worked out for me in the last 2 hours. It's amazing.
All those bullets missed my head, and the terrorists just blew themselves up. Wow. Convenient.
Not the movie we had here, though, because the heroes did get involved a little bit. And honestly, at some points, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You're thinking, all right, they should not have the upper hand here at all.
Right, I figured that might be the case.
But overall, fairly satisfying package. I wish it was a lot tighter, because I feel like there was a lot of potential here, but I also have a feeling the boys that made this didn't really have the highest aspirations in the first place.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's too bad, though. The good news is, I feel like it's a common enough idea where we could see this again, and hopefully we can see it done again way better.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, the movie I'm about to pick from this hat is the better version of Game Over Man. Isn't that crazy?
So it's another stoner Die Hard movie?
Yeah, essentially. You have schmucks in the wrong place at the wrong time, but it's real satisfying,
Wow,
I tell you.
What a coincidence.
And that's in the movie 8th Grade.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you do have schmucks
There are
in the wrong
schmucks
place at the wrong time.
That's true.
8th Grade, I think anyone would agree with this. It's an exercise in awkward.
Oh, for sure.
It's the kind of movie where everyone's praising it, saying, wow, finally we have a real look at what 8th Grade is actually like. And yes, I feel like it really succeeds on that level, but it also didn't seem like it was challenging, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As the movie finished, I went, this seemed easy, and it seems like something that should have been accomplished a long time ago.
Probably.
But it might have been, and I just never heard about it, and this is the movie that got traction.
Yeah, I guess. Or Bo Burnham just hit the nail on the head. I don't know, it's hard to say.
It was really good. I think it was kind of an ugly looking movie. I don't know how
ugly, like visually.
Yes, the cinematography was a little gross.
Yeah, it felt very basic, I'd say.
Yeah, but it was. I suppose there was a lot of tension just in the endurance of a lot of awkward moments.
Oh yeah,
a lot of them.
It got really painful at some points, and I was just like laughing, but at the same time like cringing, and people in the audience like were pretty much silent the whole time, like they were watching a drama, and I'm like, I understand that, but it is kind of a comedy.
Yeah, my audience was definitely cringing with me, but I have to, it's not as torturous as we might be making it out to sound, because usually I hate awkward. The reason this awkward, you kind of are okay with it torturing you, is because you're really compelled by the situations happening.
And it's authentic, too. It's not like forced awkwardness.
Yeah. It's just really easy to like this main character. And it didn't come off as something like, wow, I can't believe they pulled that off. That must have been really difficult. But it was just an average girl, and she was likable. So therefore, she was likable. Like, yeah, it works.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean, in terms of a plot, there's a vague plot of her just being happy, I guess. But
day-to-day stuff, how she rises above her awkward struggles.
It works, though. It works. It's just kind of a window into the life of an 8th grader, and it's got a director that brings a vision to it, definitely. Like, I could see this being done effectively by other directors, but I could see them putting a totally different spin on it, I suppose. I liked what Bo Burnham did, and I especially just liked the way he used music. Like, there was a Crush character, and his first introduction, it's just silent. All of a sudden, you just hear this, like this really thumping dance
Sexy
music.
electric music. Like, ooh, yeah. But it's like directed at a little kid, so you're like, oh, this is interesting.
It's not for us.
Yeah, I know it's not for us. But like through the eyes of an 8th grader as an adult, it's an interesting experience.
Yeah, I guess it can almost feel uncomfortable at a certain point. It's because there are moments that get into sexuality, and I imagine watching an 8th grader, focusing on how to give blowjobs from an adult perspective can be a little like, this is almost too good a window. Maybe we should close this a little bit. But
right.
I would rather that window be opened.
Yeah, me too. I think it's good to keep it open.
I also heard from females that apparently it really did capture the female specific part of the 8th grade experience very well. So, I mean, good on Bo being able to write it outside of himself. And I've been following Bo for a long time. I mean, he does music, so that's pretty cool.
And he's great at it.
Blinkity Bloop is not really about comedy music per se, but
we're more...
he's got some musical talent there.
Yeah,
definitely.
for sure. I could definitely respect him as a fellow musician.
Yeah. And he does movies too, which I guess is fine.
Yeah. And we do movie reviews, so it's like we're kind of similar?
But we're more musicians.
Yeah. We're more musicians than he is.
I'd rather if he'd heard about us, like, or that Blinkity Bloop, the band, of course.
Yeah,
I love your music.
Podcast, no.
Yeah. Whose turn is it?
You picked 8th grade, I think.
I did.
Yeah.
Your turn. Look at us taking turns.
We're doing it right this time.
What'd you say?
We're doing it right this time.
Okay, I didn't hear you, but now I have.
All right, I'm just going to say it. This movie was just straight up pornography.
There's just porn in that hat?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what I was walking into in the theater, and it was just like straight up full male and full female nudity.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wasn't expecting it for a movie that has the title of Slender Man. In no world can anything about this movie be considered pornographic. No, unless you consider it pornographic to suffer through a boring-ass horror movie.
Well, think about it, because there's this slang that maybe something was really good with comedy. It's like, oh, it's like comedy porn. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a really good sports game. Like, oh, it was like football porn. I can't imagine anyone being satisfied about any element of this to the point where they would call it porn.
No.
Like, the only way, maybe disappointment porn.
Oh, absolutely. If I was like trying to get pleasure out of disappointment, like in the first like 10 minutes of the movie, I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, it's hard to even imagine people that wanted disappoint. I feel like it's not even disappointing enough.
No, it doesn't even deliver.
Just let me come.
It doesn't even deliver on being shitty in a satisfying way.
Yeah, it just feels unfinished. Because I was watching it, and I wasn't paying the most attention, mostly because it's the worst movie. But I'm watching it, and there are things happening. I'm like, wait, did I miss something? Was I just not paying attention? Where did that character go? Oh, she just never showed up again.
Yep.
Oh, what? And there are so many moments like that in this movie, where apparently behind the scenes, this movie was heavily edited before being released.
Oh.
And so I guess we don't have a full movie here. We just kind of have half a movie.
I'm curious as to what that other footage would be and if it would have made it better.
Probably, because we don't know what happens to a lot of these characters.
Yeah, but then again, that would make the movie longer, and I think that would make us angrier.
That's true. I don't think this movie was ever really on to the right thing.
No.
Because what is it about Slender Man that has appealed? I feel like you probably know a little more about Slender Man than I do.
Slender Man's origins are on the website Creepypasta, which is where people write up their own mini little horror stories to try and get a rise out of each other. And Slender Man is the story of this really tall dude, hence the name, with no face, and he kidnaps children, and he has like weird tentacles.
I'm just if they called him Tall Dude, it'd be so much less scary. Like, have you seen Tall Bra?
Behind you, it's Tall Dude. Tall Dude. Tall Dude killed my sister.
Look out, man, it's vertical, bro. But go on.
Well, and so from this little story that some random person on the internet made, it sparked the imagination of millions of people around the world who write their own little stories about him, do fan art of him, and it became a whole movement. And it got to a point where in real life, I don't remember the whole story, but 2 teenage girls lured their friend into the woods and then stabbed her, and she almost died. And when
They
asked
stabbed her
why-
like 20 times or something. It was a lot.
It was crazy. And when asked why, they were like, we were trying to please Slender Man so he wouldn't kill us.
And that, I hate that story exists because I feel like Slender Man is very much not about whatever the girls were stabbing this other girl for.
No.
Slender Man is just a series. He's a character, and there are all sorts of stories. I know there's a game that I played that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I feel like what's fun about him is just not really knowing much about him, just his ominous presence. And I definitely feel, I think I read somebody point this out, a lot of the appeal is like it's staying on the internet, like it being in these grainy photos.
Yeah.
Because you just don't really know who he is. And if you see him in HD on a big movie theater screen, it does kind of take away some of that allure, doesn't it?
Yeah, the blurriness works for it.
And they also came up with an origin story for him. And I guess you feel compelled to do that when you got a standard by the books horror movie here. But it was, what were they trying to do? He was, I get based on some ancient thing, but also he was a digital warlock. I don't fucking know.
I don't fucking... Most of the movie was a fucking garbage blur to me, so you can't ask me what the fucking lore of the movie was.
I think the most I can say for it is there were occasionally moments where characters were tripping, because I guess if I had to explain what Slender Man did, I don't even know. It wasn't even clear to me. I like at one point he was watch this video, and then I guess he poisoned everyone's minds.
He made them hallucinate.
He went through the video. At one point, Slender Man just takes away someone's face and makes it a Slender Man face, but then the effects go away, and I guess he just makes them hallucinate. But he's also a tree.
Ooh.
So
tree.
Because I think he had tentacles, I guess, was part of the folklore in the internet stuff, but I don't remember him being a tree.
No, I don't think that was a thing.
It just, I didn't understand what his objective was, and I guess, I don't know, maybe if I paid attention more, I think the video explained it or something, or there was chat, like, you need to make a sacrifice in the woods, and then he'll leave you alone, or something like that. I mean, there's one character that was sacrificing herself to Slender Man, like, take me instead of my friends, but then as soon as Slender Man was about to take her, she starts running away, and I'm like, what? You
gave up real quick.
I thought you were there to be taken. I'm so confused. But this movie just feels incomplete.
Yeah. Ugh. It was just, when it wasn't failing at being spooky, and when there wasn't cringy dialogue of like a 30-something-year-old person trying to write as a teenager, it was like these teenage girls just screaming. There was so much screaming with nothing happening. Like, there was a girl in her hospital bed screaming, probably because she was seeing Slender Man. We didn't see that. There was another girl screaming. There was another girl screaming. There was another girl. It was excessive. It was over the top.
I feel like there are a lot of scenes of somebody screaming and they wake up in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
And then they scream later and they're back in the hospital. I don't know if I was losing my fucking mind, but didn't that happen 3 times?
It happened at least once. I know that
okay.
for sure.
Well, now I feel fine.
It was shrill and it was annoying, like audio.
There was approximately one moment I liked, and I'm not saying this was a good moment at all. I guess this was caused by Slender Man doing his hallucinations, as Slender Man apparently does, but this one character had a boyfriend, and they were making out, and everything about the scene had been totally calm and fine. And then all of a sudden, you see the boyfriend, and everything is distorted, and he's got a demon face, and he makes a noise. I shit you not. He's like, it's like, what the fuck? Like, it was amazing, and the girl just screams like, ah! And then it goes away, and the boyfriend's like, what? And then the boyfriend never shows up again.
Yep.
And apparently there was trailer footage of him like jumping off a building to commit suicide or something.
That would have been interesting to see.
I guess we don't know what happened to the boyfriend.
Maybe we can find out in the DVD special features with deleted scenes.
I mean, you just made a decent case for buying the Slender Man DVD.
Jesus Christ, no.
That's not good.
No. What have I done?
I don't even know if they'd put that footage on, but I would be curious to see the other cut of this, but at the same time,
it's not worth it.
I don't think this was ever going to be a good movie.
No, absolutely not.
It's just, I don't know, like, what would have made it a good movie?
If it was based on the stuff that actually happened with the girls in the woods.
Like, the stabbing?
Yeah. Like,
no, God, I hate that story. Like, I know it's a real life thing, but I feel like those girls stabbed someone and then just, like, I will say Slender Man did it or something. Like, they should have really made the stabbing better, like, more related to Slender Man. But, I mean, again, I don't know the story. Also, let's just point out, they should have probably not stabbed someone at all.
No.
But
no.
I don't see what that stabbing had to do with Slender Man. You know what I mean? Like, if you had a spooky creature that was on the internet and what he did is he would rip off people's heads, and then they ripped off some girl's head and said, oh, Mr. Spooks told me to do it. Be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's Mr. Spooks.
Mr. Spooks does rip off people's heads.
Exactly.
All right, good job.
Yep. Good
also,
job,
can
movie.
go to jail now? Thanks.
Yep.
But, like, what about this crime is, like, Slender Man's always stabbing people in the woods.
Yeah,
is
no.
he? I feel he just kidnaps people.
I think also this movie doesn't do any favors because it doesn't take away the power of Slender Man to teenagers. Like, I feel like if it was really good, it would show Slender Man's a sham and is not real. But this is just like, oh, he's real. And it's just like, well, you're going to inspire kids to go out in the woods and stab someone again.
God, but again, like, I don't think that these kids were actually inspired by Slender Man.
No,
I
you're
don't
right.
believe it. I feel they just had to just spout a bunch of bullshit. It's not fair. It's like stabbing someone 22 times and being like, Finding Nemo made me do it. Like, the fuck? Why?
We can't do Finding Dory now because there was this stabbing.
Just Disney World and Finding Nemo gets assassinated.
It's just like
like a public hanging of, like, Dory.
You killed that kid.
But, like, that's what it feels like to me.
Guess.
It's like, I don't even want to talk about those girls. They don't fucking deserve to even be known by anyone. They should just be dead, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
They're clearly broken human beings, but it's not my place. I'm a humble musician, but I don't know. I feel like what works about Slender Man, and again, I am not a Slender Man aficionado here. I feel like what makes him work is just his ominous, like, not knowing about him. And I liked the idea that he is secretly in the background of these historical pictures.
Yeah.
There's something to that. I feel like that was the gimmick, because I didn't see that with any other, like, creepypasta creature or anything like that. Specifically the gimmick that you go back and look at this historical moment in time and realize, oh shit, there was a monster there. So maybe something with time travel. As awful as that sounds initially.
Maybe not time travel, but the fact that he's immortal.
Yeah, that could also work.
Kind of like Pennywise.
Yeah, but I like the idea of time specifically. The idea that he can wind up almost implanting himself in memories, which isn't what's happening, but think about it. Like, you have this old photograph of your grandma, and you've always seen it and cherished it, and then all of a sudden you just notice one day, wait a minute, what's that creepy faceless tall guy in the background? And just the way that your memory changes when you suddenly see that, there's something to that. I don't know how you bottle that and make that into a movie.
That's actually pretty compelling. I mean,
yeah, like there's something there.
huh.
And it's less with Slender Man and more just the idea that you were seeing history wrong this whole time.
Yeah.
Like, because that's freaky to me.
Mm.
Yeah, Slender Man, I think we could both agree. Highly recommend it. Best movie of the year.
Yep.
Yeah. But this movie that I'm about to pick,
Yep.
total opposite. Real stinker.
Worst movie of the year?
I thought Slender Man was bad, even though I just said it was best movie of the year. And this is kind of breaking the continuity of this joke. But this movie, P.U.
Ooh.
Get a clothespin and put that on your schnoz, because
Uh-oh.
you're not going to want to smell this movie. Ocean's 8.
Another movie.
Oh, no, I'm sexist!
Uh-oh.
I gotta go!
You gotta get out of here before you ruin my rep, too.
I just said women smell!
To be fair, they can smell just as fat as men.
That's true. That's equal
That's
opportunity
equality.
right there. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. What'd you think of Ocean's 8?
I mean, I didn't see the first three, and I didn't see this one, so it's hard to say. Yep.
Huh, I mean, it already seems like a downgrade, you know what I mean? Just numerically.
Yeah.
If you liked 11 and you liked 12 and you thought 13 was pretty good. Yeah. How about 8? What?
Is it a prequel?
It's like Ocean's 13, but with 5 less people. And the thing is, technically, there's a way to look at it like, wow, this is even cooler. Because they're going to perform a big heist and they need even less people to do it.
Yeah.
But it's just more interesting having more. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want less. And no, it's not a prequel.
Huh.
It's kind of a continuation. It branches off to do its own thing, but it's not a prequel. It's just another movie in the universe with less people. So it just feels like a downgrade.
It's just like, in the scope of history, when people are looking back and they look at the chronology of this, they're going to assume 8 is a prequel.
They could have just had 14 people. I mean, why not? You can have 14 ladies.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? And the fact they were women just... It barely came up. I didn't give a shit. It's fine.
It's the same thing as if it was dudes.
There was one line where they were getting their team together. And like, what if we get this guy? Like, no, that's a man. We don't want men on the team. Well, why not Sandra Bullock? Because for once, we don't want to be seen. And because we're women, we won't be seen at this party. Social commentary. People ignore women.
Okay.
Which I don't even know if I agreed with, because women are, I mean, I guess traditionally, like, look, I'm wearing this outstanding dress here. Pay attention to me. But I also, I mean, I guess it depends on the party. Well, the men have the ideas. Which is traditional bullshit and all that. But, yeah, there was one line that addressed it, and then mostly it didn't matter.
Okay.
And I did like all the characters that the women were playing. They were all unique, fun. I guess I was bummed because I wanted to see them all interact with each other more, and you didn't really get to see that. They mostly kept to themselves. Occasionally, some characters would team up. And I don't know, I didn't even get to see a lot of the characters in general.
Oh.
But it was a fine heist. Basically, I feel like if you liked the original Ocean's movies, you'll like this. I saw Ocean's 11. I was a little underwhelmed by it, but I went, it's a stylish, thrilling heist movie, I guess. It was okay. And I felt pretty much the same about Ocean's 8. I guess maybe Ocean's 11 was a little bit better. Probably because it had 3 more people that did genuinely probably help.
That'll do it.
The heist was a little more interesting, too. One thing I hated about Ocean's 8 is they have this main heist, and then that's kind of the movie.
Okay.
Fine, cool. But then they revealed, hey, guess what? So we got that robbery done, but we also did a secret second thing during that robbery. Like, wow, what a twist. And it turns out they got some guy that was one of the original Ocean's 11, and he's back and older, obviously. Yeah. But they got him to help them with this side quest where they got way more money.
Huh.
So basically, the whole movie is about, hey, let's get this really cool $10 bill. We want $10. Awesome. And then you find out at the end of the movie, oh, also, on the side, we just got like $10,000. Like, what the fuck? Why was that not the movie? And it was so easy too, because basically this guy is an acrobat or something, and he's just like, look at my flips and tricks, and then just gets a bunch of money. I'm like, what the fuck? Just cut that shit out. Because it's also kind of distracting suddenly having this other character from the other movies. It's like, wait, what? Just remove it. Bro, we didn't need any of that. And to me, it just kind of made the rest of the movie seem pointless. Like, what the fuck?
Do you think it would have been better if it focused on that other heist?
It needed to focus on a heist where a lot of stuff was happening. Because it needed to be entertaining. And that was the heist where they got a little bit of money. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you cut out the part where they like, look, but we got all this other stuff too. You cut that out, then what they got seems like the biggest prize they could have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We stole the really expensive diamond in the universe of this movie. Like, wow, that's a really big thing. But if you say, there's also 10 of them. I'm like, oh, well, they only have one of the 10. Don't have the line, there's 10 of them. And I'm like, wow, cool.
Problem solved.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whatever. Otherwise, it was fine.
Did it have any other connections to the previous Ocean's movie besides this acrobat dude?
The main character was the sister of George Clooney's character, who was dead, but maybe not.
What?
It's a little weird how they treated that.
Oh.
Basically, the character was dead, but people thought, he might be faking his death. Like, is he really dead? I think was a question that came up a few times, and it was always skirted around. So I don't really know what I'm supposed to think there or what it means, but I don't care also, so that helps.
There you go.
But yeah, truly a worse movie than Slender Man, as I said.
What?
Yeah. You want to pick?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this movie, marginally better than Slender Man, also about a creepypasta figure.
Wow.
Yeah. This is the stuff that haunts teenage nightmares. And this spooky peep is 3 identical strangers.
Oh.
Ooh.
That is spooky.
You know what's spooky?
What?
It's like the 5th movie in this bunch that I haven't seen.
How many movies have you seen so far in this episode?
8th grade, Slender Man.
Well, that's a pretty good combo right there. If you're going to see only 2 movies this year, you gotta follow the lead of Nick.
Only those 2. Everything else does not compare. See, one of the best and one of the worst. I mean, it does give you a nice spectrum of what the year is like.
Yeah, I guess so. But 3 Identical Strangers is maybe one of the best documentaries I've ever seen in my life.
That's pretty impressive.
It is so good, and I don't think I'm exaggerating either. But here's the thing. I don't want to say a lot about it, because I went into this movie so cold that I didn't even know it was a documentary. I saw 3 Identical Strangers, and I went, okay. You know old Drew, if you have a number in the title, he's like,
bam, gotcha.
Wait, I mean, Ocean's 8?
There you
Sign
go.
me up. No, genuinely, though, I do have a problem with numbers. Like, I will be more likely to see your movie.
Wow, interesting.
We got 3 billboards. I'm like, it's been a while since I had 3 Identical Strangers. Oh, yes!
Finally.
So, yeah, it starts off appealing, and I feel like if you're going to watch this movie based off my recommendation, you're going to feel its appeal and go, okay, I see that this is an enjoyable movie, but how is this amazing? You just got to hang on.
Okay.
Is all I'll say. I want to limit what I say about this, because I feel like, for me, what was great about this movie is knowing so little. And I almost wish I didn't even say it was documentary, but I guess I got to give you a little something to chew on there.
Yeah.
But it just, by the end of it, it was a journey, man. And I can easily say that whatever you're thinking it's going to be, it probably is not. So it's a treat. But yes, it does have 3 Identical Strangers in it. I will say that much.
That's a spoiler right there, young man.
I'm sorry. I guess it technically is a little bit.
I mean, it's not, because it's the title.
Yeah. It's going to be weird, though, that we're going to have spoiler tag ahead of this movie, and I'm basically refusing to say anything
for this movie.
No, the email said I have to do it for every movie,
even the ones we don't give away the plot for.
Apparently, it's just in case people, because I don't know if it's for spoilers or not. It's just in case people want to skip it. Like maybe they're listening along to the podcast and go, Three Identical Strangers. I hate titles that have numbers in them. Ugh! And they just want to bounce over it.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's
Mrs. Sealand's deal. She finally got back to an email, so that's that.
I'd like to inquire, but her rules probably like only answer every 100 every 1 out of 100 emails. So
You don't understand. I've emailed her about so many things, and to have that, she didn't even respond to anything else I said. Like, the last thing I said, are we still doing grab bag? Is that still a thing? And all I get, I don't know the legal things. I'll paraphrase here. I don't know if I should actually read it, but it's just the tag stuff. What I said, basically.
Right.
It's just.
Yeah.
I really assume it's got to be for spoiler. Just I
assume.
Because I know, maybe we'll talk about a movie. People want to be able to skip it, so we have those tags in. God, I don't want to do that, but what do you maybe want to... What do you think? Would you want to try to do the tags?
Me?
Yeah.
Like editing them?
Yeah, because, I guess this is a fine time to bring it up. I feel like we come in and your job is, all right, let's talk about these movies, but my job is everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean. If you, I can ease your burden if you send me some of those files to edit or whatever. I don't know how to edit, but I can look it up.
Are you going to, though?
I may need some guidance, but if I really put my best foot forward, I believe I can do it.
I just don't want it to be, I don't want it to be one of those things where it's I teach you so much that I wind up doing it myself,
I see what you mean, but I think I should have it in me.
You don't sound confident at all. I'm worried. You know what I mean? I'm worried.
I see what you mean. I don't want you to be shouldering all of this yourself. It's not fair, and it's not... I don't want to be the lazy one of the two of us. I don't want either of us to be lazy. I want us to be contributing equally, and if I can do something to even that out, bring it on. Yeah.
And, do you feel that you might be that way in the band, too?
Well, I try not to be, but maybe my personality naturally is a bit more lax than yours, and so
I'm just asking, do you... I'm not saying anything. Do you feel that it's been happening in the band?
I think out of all of us, I don't know, a few notches above the laziest person.
Yeah, but the two of us, I know Blinkity Bloop is, a big project, but between the two of us, do you feel like we're putting in equal amounts for Blinkity Bloop,
well,
the band?
Okay, in that case, for the two of us, I will concede that I have done less.
It shouldn't be that way,
No, it shouldn't.
I don't know, maybe that... You're my partner, with Blinkity Bloop or the Blinkity Bloop boys.
We are.
It's just, I don't know. I don't think it's a matter of me doing too much. I feel like it might be going the other way.
I think you're right, and I'm sorry if I never really realized it before and put all this on you. I just wasn't thinking about it, I guess.
We can, how about that? I'll do the tags, but let's put some more into the music, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because, I feel like I've written a lot of the last few songs, and I don't know what's happening there.
I guess I kind of have coasted by recently in terms of composition and lyrics.
I guess I should have pointed it out, I guess I tend to skirt around these things. It's my own personality problem.
No, but I should pick up on it myself. I should realize when you're putting in too much and I'm putting in too little. So it's really it's a thing we both need to figure out.
Okay.
Mostly me. I need to figure it out.
Yeah, just Let's make Blinkity Bloop a real team effort, you know?
The band, not the podcast.
Oh, both of them, because I was also talking about the podcast.
Okay, gotcha. So both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly the band.
Right.
But equally the podcast.
Also the podcast. Mostly the band, though.
Both Blinkity Bloops.
Yeah.
Any
both.
iteration of Blinkity Bloop, let's even it out.
Exactly.
And, I guess all of that is under the Three Identical Strangers umbrella. So, cool.
Oh, right. We're still on Three Identical Strangers.
Yeah. Well, Blinkity Bloop is a little more than 3, but...
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. But, just us two here. Whatever. Wanna... Oh, wait, is it me?
Were we done with Three Identical Strangers?
Oh, that's about all I wanted to say.
All that other stuff was connected to Three Identical Strangers?
What, the whole... No, I mean...
Okay, that just sprouted naturally from our conversation?
Yeah, that's how conversations work.
No, I know. I was just wondering if it was like a bit you were doing.
No, Shit, no, I'm totally serious. I feel like you absolutely need to do more for the band.
I was playing along. I assumed it was a joke. Okay, I feel really... I feel really dumb right now. Oh, wow.
That wasn't fucking genuine?
No, why would I? I think I'm doing plenty of work.
Are you... Fuck it. We'll unpack that later. Whose turn is it?
All right, let's see. I picked Three Identical Strangers, so it's your turn.
All right. Well, the movie I'm about to pick is about a group that has people doing work.
Okay.
Doing equal amounts of work.
Oh, all right. That's ideal.
Yeah, it's coincidental.
Huh.
I guess. Maybe.
Yep.
Anyway, that movie would be Sorry to Bother You.
Ah, yes.
Woof. Okay. So, Sorry to Bother You. I suppose it's good that we have spoiler tags, or I guess that's what we're calling them now, spoiler tags.
Uh-huh.
Because this definitely does not go in the direction you think it is. We had a friend that saw it too and went, there is no way you know where this is going. I think it's safe to say we did not.
They were right, yes.
What I knew about the movie, and what made it appealing to me, is that it was black people doing white voices. And yes, that's a little racially touchy, but it's also funny. I don't know, there's just something very funny. David Cross's whitest voice of America coming out of this black person was
a great choice.
Amazing. And of course, my favorite line from the trailer, like, some for the homies and some for me. Like,
so good.
I'm thinking, like, maybe the only thing that could have made it more perfect is Wallace Shawn having a voice.
Man.
Wallace Shawn does have a great white voice.
Voices.
And picture that coming out of, like, Shaq or something.
Oh, man, that would be a thing of beauty. Oh, man.
That's fucking amazing.
Picturing that.
Shaq talking like Wallace Shawn.
Wow. Yeah.
But that appealed to me. And yes, it is a raw racial movie in a way that's different from Black Klansman and in a way that's different from Blind Spotting, which is, it's cool to be able to see race movies, but they're all very stylistically different.
It's also not just about race, but it covers class a lot too, in terms of like the huge disparity between the lower classes, the middle classes, and the upper class.
Yeah, and I guess that's actually almost where my problems with the movie start, is that I did like it a lot, but I almost feel like it was biting off a little too much. The main thing, just to stick with that, yeah, it tackled race and it tackled class. And you could argue that, hey, they're kind of correlated too. But to me, I just wish it picked one and focused on one. You know what I mean? Like, I know that they are interrelated, but to me, I left the movie feeling like it was talking about both. Which isn't the worst thing in the world, but I guess for me, it would have helped if it focused on one thing. Because another thing that it did is it had that gimmick with the voices we talked about. But then halfway through the movie, that kind of went to the wayside and a whole other gimmick started.
Yeah.
horse people, I guess. We'll just say
We're just right out with it. All right. Yep. Horse people.
And that was great, and I loved it. And what a creative fucking twist! Just there's fucking horse people all of a sudden. It was amazing. But I just left the movie thinking, wait, what? Like it felt like there were these two really strong premises.
Yeah.
And they were both kind of hanging in the air, not quite complete.
It was a bit disjointed. I definitely will give you that.
I almost wish there were more premises, because I either wanted it to pick one and stick to it. Because when you have two, you kind of feel like, all right, you got to choose between one.
Or balance it out.
Once you have three or more, you start to go, okay, clearly that's what's happening here, is we're not picking between one. We just have a whole lot of premises here to stay. So if you had the voice thing, and then you had horse people, and Santa showed up like, help me save Christmas. Like, I'd be like, wow, fuck me. All right, here we go.
I mean, maybe Santa's in a deleted scene.
Oh, shit.
Deleted scene thing.
It's a very pivotal deleted scene.
Yeah.
But I see. It's not like I can hate the movie, even though it felt like it was juggling a few too many balls, because it was still just wildly inventive. I mean, the two premises, you don't really see those every day.
No, definitely not.
And they did tie into the themes well. I guess my only problem with it, and the reason I think I'd prefer Black Klansman a little more, is that Sorry to Bother You was probably... I almost feel bad saying it's the more ambitious of the two movies, but that might be true. I think it had even more going on, but almost to a fault for me, because I feel like it didn't quite have the time to like really capture everything. Yeah. I would have been, this is Sorry to Bother You universe. You have one movie that's about the voices and the other about horse people.
Yeah.
Maybe even a TV show. Like each episode is something insane.
Like Black Mirror, but like...
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny Black Mirror.
Kind of. And like specifically about race. Sure. Or even if you want to split it up, like one's about race, one's about class, one's about,
Santa Claus.
I don't know, but yes, religion, sure. But yeah, as it is, it's very entertaining. You have some good actors, good characters. Patton Oswalt's in it too.
Yep.
Also providing America's second whitest voice, I guess.
Yeah.
Wallace Shawn is probably number
third
one.
Whitest.
Wallace Shawn is very white.
Yeah.
I'm Inarian. Yeah, and Lily James, Lily James, my favorite actress of all time, of course, also does a voice in this. Did you not know that? She was the white voice of the black lady.
Tessa Thompson. Okay.
Yeah, Tessa Thompson's character.
Huh. Well, she's been fitting herself in a lot of stuff lately.
Yeah, and it was great. I gotta say, I liked the gimmick regardless.
Yeah.
But it was really hard seeing the voices come out of these people, because it really didn't feel like it fit a lot of the time. Occasionally, because it's really important, I think, when you have a voice that does not go with the face has to sell it really well. There's kind of this problem in animation too. A voice has a lot of details in it that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on, and the face matches those details. It kind of mirrors them and reflects them and shows what they are. And I assume they weren't going for making it perfectly authentic anyway, which is fine. I mean, part of the fun of it is the camp that, it's clearly voiceover shit.
Yeah.
But I don't know, part of me wanted to see it pulled off a little bit better.
Yeah.
There were moments where it really worked. Then there were moments where it's just a little like, it was okay.
Right, yeah.
You know?
So my opinion is...
Yeah?
Okay. So...
Oh, did I talk too much?
No.
Okay.
So I was letting you do your stuff, and now I can do mine.
You have totally different stuff from me?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, get ready.
Here we go.
So I went into this knowing the writer-director/composer, Boots Riley, who before this was in a hip-hop band, rap band, called The Coup. and I really like his style of music and his lyrics, and I was so ready to see him take on a new medium.
Yeah, it is really cool seeing like fellow musicians do movies.
It's kind of like how Bo Burnham did 8th Grade. That was Bo's directorial debut, and this is Boot's directorial.
We got a lot of musicians making great movies this year. That's funny.
Yeah, so, you know, I went in with pretty high expectations, and I think they were reached, and then once it got to the horse part, I was just like, oh, fuck, we're on another level now. I was just like, this is a really fun satire of class warfare and the struggle of like working from the bottom to the top and that whole trope, and then it just goes off. It like snorts a line of coke and then just fucking runs into the street naked. That's basically what the movie did. It spoke to me on a personal and ideological level that I haven't seen in really any other movies. It has its flaws, I'll definitely give it that, but I'm almost willing to look past them because of how it made me feel validated for my opinions and my feelings.
Do you think that it could be better, though? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I can see an even better version of this movie, which is already great, but I can see it being even better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so basically you like the movie a lot just because it tickled the right parts of your body.
Yeah.
But you also acknowledge there's room where it could have been an even greater experience.
I definitely had a problem with the dub thing, too. That was a bit weird for me. Again, it was funny, but it does take you out of it a bit. And it almost would have been... I feel like... It's tricky, because you love David Cross's voice, but you almost want the black actors to do their own white voice.
Oh, yeah. That is interesting, but you lose the fun of the gimmick, though, because a lot of that was just the idea of a totally different voice that clearly isn't theirs coming out of their mouth.
Right, but outside of that and the horse people, it was a pretty...
tame movie. Like,
it wasn't tame.
It shouldn't say tame, but grounded, I guess.
It was grounded. It was a dark comedy. It was a satire, clearly, but it had a sense of reality to it, and the clearly fake voices and the horse people kind of threw that off. And
That's true. Maybe it should have gone even further with going away from reality. You know what I mean? Breaking more of the rules.
More surreal, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what... I mean, in terms of a directorial debut, you got to give it to him.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. I don't think it spoke to me in the exact way that it spoke to you.
Right.
But I imagine if I see a movie that was saying things that I felt that I hadn't seen in any other movie, of course I'm going to really like it. You get a personal attachment to it.
Even if it didn't have this ideological spin to it, I feel like as a dark comedy on its own and as a satire on its own, it was a lot of fun outside of the deeper meaning.
Yeah, and it was definitely heavy, but it wasn't heavy in the way something like Blind Spotting was. It was mostly fun, and the heavy stuff was there, and you were prompted to think about it, but I wouldn't say there were necessarily a ton of like really dramatic, heavy scenes where you just had to watch raw shit happen.
It kept that tone, that funny, sort of light tone, but with a dark underbelly throughout most of the movie.
Yeah, I guess it kind of felt like a satire all the way through, which helps, because when you have that framework, nothing feels too serious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess it depends, but... This movie, it was a good time. I liked the poster. It was a good shade of purple.
It was a nice purple.
It was a solid poster. One of my favorite posters of the year, I think.
Oh, cool.
I think it's time for you to have this purple hat, which, hey, actually, this is kind of roughly the shade of the Sorry to Bother You poster, isn't it?
And I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm going to reach into your hat. See what I did there?
I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm going to kill you for making that joke.
Oh.
I'm sorry to bother me, but that wasn't a great joke.
Yeah.
Anyway. I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to me.
Oh, well, pardon me. Sorry to bother me. All right, so that last movie validated me in a lot of ways I didn't expect. And this movie invalidated me in ways I didn't know that could happen to me.
Oh, shit.
this was brutal. This broke apart every part of me and criticized everything I feel and believe in. And now every waking moment I think about this movie and why I shouldn't exist.
So this just changed your life, pretty much.
Yeah, for the worse, I'd say.
That's a real bummer. What movie did this to you?
Well, let me tell you. It was Next Gen.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, I can't because I did not see it.
And guess what?
What?
It's a Netflix movie.
Wow, there's a weird theme here.
Next Gen is the best animated movie of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
I thought it was excellent. And don't get me wrong, there are certain things about it that don't work. Ironically, and this is insane, is that there is also a problem I had with David Cross's voice in terms of lip syncing.
Was David Cross in this?
Yes, he was.
Wow.
And he was voicing a character that kind of looks a lot like you. Heavy, bearded. I'm describing you for all the listeners, so now they're going to know what you look like.
Oh, gosh, darn it.
Bespectacled, older, though. Definitely older, bolder, white hair. But the problem with animation versus live action is in the real world, if you see like this big brawny guy, but he talks like this, your brain is going to think, oh, I wouldn't have expected that, but you will immediately accept it because it's reality and that's what you're seeing. But as we saw in Sorry to Bother You, if there's dubbing, you really need to see that that face matches the voice or there's going to be problems. And it's the same in animation. And I was literally referencing this movie, so it's funny that this came up.
Okay.
Is that there's certain shorthand that I don't think we think about in animation. And we expect kind of a larger guy to have a bit of a deeper voice.
Right.
And David Cross, whitest voice in America.
Second whitest.
Yes. After Wallace Shawn, of course.
Of course.
Hearing his voice come out of this body didn't completely feel right. That was the problem is, though, it's just shorthand saying that, oh, heavyset guys have to have like deeper voices. That's not true.
Right.
Your voice is not terribly deep.
No.
It's not.
No.
Which is totally fine.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that reality has all these different colors. And you can pull that off in animation, but you have to get the facial expressions right. And I think the problem is sometimes, the voice would be very energetic, but the facial expressions would be a little too static. I think more often it was the opposite, that the voice was actually like really mellow, but the facial expressions were too energized. So it got a little uncanny there. They had some voice casting decisions that were bold, and to pull them off, they had to really put in a lot of effort in that department, and I don't think they quite succeeded, so it was a little rookie. But there's also some Chinese animated movie I haven't technically... I don't know what studio did it, so I don't know what kind of budget they had, if they've ever done a thing like this before. I know it's based on a Rage comic or something.
Huh.
But it has like almost nothing to do with the Rage comic, except there's one scene that has an interviewer that has like a Rage comic face, but I think it's a robot, but it's not.
You mean the memes? The Rage memes?
Yeah. I am not an expert on its history, but apparently this is a movie based on a show or something that has just nothing to do with it at all.
Oh. Weird.
Yeah. But aside from that, which was my main problem, you also had they had Jason Sudeikis' voice coming out of this thin, tall, bearded person with a man bun, and it was actually the opposite problem. For me, I felt someone like that should sound a little lighter with the voice, like a little higher pitched. And the voice seemed a little deeper. And I'm like, okay, but that's fine as long as you get the facial expressions just right. And I feel they never quite did. And I couldn't help but wonder, what if the voices just switched there? What if Jason Sudeikis was voicing the heavier guy, David Cross voicing the tech mogul?
Might resolve that.
I will say, though, David Cross also did the voice of all the robots for the most part in this movie.
Huh.
There were a lot of samey robots that were around, like basically the iPhones, but they were robots, and they did a lot of stuff. And this Jason Sudeikis character is kind of like the Steve Jobs of making robots for everybody. And David Cross's voice was coming out of most of the robots. And that fit. That felt like an excellent fit. Had no problems that David Cross made a very excellent robot. Nah, not so much the other thing.
What was the other dude's role in it? Did he have any connection to the robots? Did he, in the context of the movie, provide his vocals for the robots?
You see, they didn't really explain that, but they just had the same voice. And I mean, David Cross, the human being, was the inventor of the robot, so I guess they were just programmed to have his voice or something like that.
Yeah.
The story is essentially this girl who is very disenchanted with the fact that everyone's obsessed with their robots. Her mom seems to like her robot more than she likes her own daughter, and it makes her mad, and she's a punk girl, and already you're kind of into it. Just the idea of a punk existing in this very automated universe is fun. And the robots aren't, hello, it is me. They tend to have personality, which you're going to get that with David Cross.
Yeah.
So that helps too. But essentially she meets this robot that is way better than all the other robots. It's a freak accident, but basically it's being made in the lab and she runs into it. This one has the voice of John Krasinski, who makes an excellent robot, as it turns out. I really loved John Krasinski's voice in this role. But basically she's got a lot of angst and hates robots, and she meets this robot that is basically a weapon. Ooh. And she could find an outlet by being friends with this robot and just do a bunch of violent things. But the movie pivots, and it goes in what I feel is a very natural yet really bold direction, and winds up being this commentary about, like, what to do with that angst that you have inside yourself. And obviously violence is not the answer, but I feel it very tenderly deals with how to deal with loss and disappointment and just the frustrations of life. It tackles it very maturely, and it culminates in this amazing final battle scene that is so... It is brilliant in the way that it is action-packed while simultaneously being an emotional gut punch. I don't even want to spoil it, but the way that the movie built up to this sequence was insane. It's like one of the best animated sequences maybe ever. It's like, it's so good. It's insane. Wow. But yeah, the movie, it's not perfect. Technically, it's got some flaws. In terms of the story, there's one part where a character just shows up in someone's house. Like, how'd you get there? And no one ever explains it. And it was, like, really weird. Yeah. Sometimes there's too much going on. Sometimes the punk character doesn't seem like the most interesting character ever. But to me, Incredibles 2 was a solid movie, but it didn't have anything that amounted to the raw emotion of that one sequence that I'm talking about. Wow. Like, this was some good stuff. And it didn't feel as bold. Like, Incredibles 2 is probably the more competent movie. The action sequences in that are probably a lot better than in this. But in this, Next Gen just felt new, despite some things being things that you've seen before. Like, there's one scene that really annoys me where a bad guy is saying his evil plan and they go, oh no, my voice has been projecting to the whole stadium. Which, when that happened in Coco, part of me, because I like Pixar, wanted to be like, oh, maybe it's not as cliche as I think. And seeing it in this movie, I'm like, yeah, okay. Coco needs a slap on the wrist for doing that. Happens in this too. So that's unfortunate. But boy, it's just, some people are comparing it to Big Hero 6 or Iron Giant, and there's shades of WALL-E in there, I guess. It just feels like something new to me, though. And I feel like that's what makes animated movies stand out to me, is when they get bold, they do something new. And it was also because it was made on Netflix, there were moments, there was a lot of characters that swore, and it was censored out. Like, they were clearly saying fuck or shit, but it was bleeped out. Oh. But that was kind of fun. I don't know if you'd necessarily get that in some kids' movies. And I think the violence, it's not like you could have some grade 8 gore or anything like that in this movie, but you definitely have some solid punches being thrown. I liked what it did overall, it added up to something that I feel was really, really solid and a lot of fun to watch.
Gotta check it out myself then.
Yeah. Do you have any more questions for me?
No, I think I'm pretty good.
Are you sure?
Oh, was it 2D or 3D?
3D.
Okay.
It'd be cool if it was 2D, but it was fine.
Yep.
Even Next Gen, though, that title says a lot of things, but it deals with the idea of, the next generation of robot, which is similar to the next generation of iPhone, is what it's clearly a commentary on. But it's also very much a movie about just kind of being able to move on from the past. And Next Gen also speaks to that too. So it really works on two different levels. And I feel like this is going to be a really underrated movie. I feel like people that have seen a trailer for this or have heard of it are going to think I'm insane for praising it so much. I hope people can understand after seeing the movie, at least get where I'm coming from, though. I think there's something to this. I really do.
I believe you.
Yeah. I'm going to pick out a movie that's about forgiveness.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is a beautiful, tender movie all about forgiveness.
Great.
Of course, that's The Party.
God damn it.
What?
Another movie I didn't see. Is it a Netflix movie?
No.
Wow.
It's technically a 2017 movie, but it had a release this year. Mm-hmm. It was black and white. And I read that it was a dark comedy. I went, aha, yes, indeed. I would like to see that.
I like those.
Seemed to be well reviewed. It had the good boy in it.
Who's the good boy?
Batman Begins bad guy.
Cillian Murphy?
Yeah, that's his name.
That's quite a jump from good boy. That could be any number of boys.
Cillian Murphy is the good boy.
I mean, with those cheekbones, yeah.
And he also had, I think his name's Timothy Dalton. No, hold on. That's James Bond, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, it's definitely not James Bond. He's been in a lot of movies. I'm trying to think of something. Timothy Spall? Is that it? Yeah, I think that's his name.
Was he the Beetle in Sweeney Todd?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I like Timothy Spall a lot. Like, I know his gimmick, like, he's a freak, but it's like, yeah, he's exceptionally talented.
He embraces it.
And he's in this. You have a lot of great actresses in this. Patricia something or whatever.
Arquette?
No. Something Heaton? No. Someone.
Right,
good cast all around.
Yeah.
Cannot remember this movie for the life of me.
Okay.
It was so... I wish it was funny, but I was just bored out of my fucking mind. It's just basically people are at a party, and one guy like, oh no, I do coke, and I have a gun, but I'm gonna hide it. And there were lesbians like, we're gonna have a baby, but I don't know if you're committed to this. And like things happened, and characters talked, but I didn't care. And I don't know why. And I want to figure out why. I want to go through this right now. Why didn't I care, Nick? Be my therapist.
Was it a bunch of disjointed vignettes?
It kind of felt like that a little bit. Yeah. And it almost felt like there wasn't an overarching story. And that's not necessarily a problem. I feel like vignettes are fine, but I don't think any of the vignettes were that compelling on their own either.
Yeah.
And I guess it felt a little dry to me. Like the characters, it was very bleak, and I guess that's where the dark comedy comes in, but I guess that just made the movie feel dry to me instead of compelling. And it was black and white too, so there were no colors!
Why? Was there a specific stylistic reason it was black and white, or they're just like, hey, let's make it seem retro?
There's probably a smart way to answer that, and I'm not the person to give that answer.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Was it old? Did it take place in the past? Was it?
No, it was a recent modern movie. I mean, I could watch The Party again, and maybe something just didn't click with me the first time, but to me, it just felt like there wasn't much of a story going on. Characters didn't seem to even want to be in the movie that they were in. And by the end of it, there was kind of like a punch at the end, like a bit of a punchline, the very last moment of the movie. They went, yeah.
Okay.
Like I more acknowledged it than enjoyed it. Like, yes, that did happen. So, I mean, obviously, part of the joke is it's clearly not much of a party. Like, if you're like,
yes.
I want to watch a movie about having a great time, I'm gonna see the party. Like, you're gonna blow your brains out of the theater. Like,
Yeah.
I've made a huge mistake. I must commit suicide to save my honor. Like,
What have I done?
as party people tend to do, sacrificial
Yeah, bro.
suicide to defend their
Yeah, this news real tight for me, bro.
But, yeah, I wish I liked it more. I feel like maybe I coulda, but I don't know. It didn't stick out to me.
As we've learned from critics, we can't always trust what the majority say. If you recall, Hereditary, almost across the board, got great reviews. We really didn't like it.
Yeah.
This is the comedy version of that.
The Hereditary at least seems polarizing. I feel like there's a camp of people that definitely think it's full of shit.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone even knows what the party is.
Yeah, it can't be polarizing because only snobby art people have seen
I
it.
guess so. I guess that makes me a snobby art person. I think that's about all for now, though.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I guess there's one last thing we gotta do.
What's that?
Say who's sponsoring us.
Okay.
Just Fisherman's Media, of course.
Yes.
Come to Fisherman's Media. If you have any audio stuff that you need done, anything at all, specifically movies, they specialize in movies here at Fisherman's Media. They've done some great work. I tell you, we've seen a lot of movies come and go in this studio, right?
Yep.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
So take our word for it and
You bet.
do your movie stuff at Fisherman's Media. Also music and other audio too.
Yep.
And that's about it. That wraps up our time at Fisherman's Media. So I am going to go and I am going to make this podcast good for Mrs. Seelan and add those tags. And then we're going to do rehearsal next time I see ya, and it's going to be even Stevens, right?
Yep.
Yeah.